Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Sam Carver's return is going to coincide with Nightmare Chicago Fire episode. Sam Carver has had an excruciating season 13 on Chicago Fire. The character was involved in a highly destructive relationship. Then he realized the only way he could kick his drinking habit was by working around the clock. When that plan ran its course, the character had no choice but to step back from 51 duties and focus on himself. He's been missed by his firefighting peers, but especially Violet Mikami, Hanako Greensmith, who confronted and argued with him shortly before he decided to step away. The medic has bore the guilt of this interaction over the past few weeks, but the end of the episode, A Beast Like This, brought about the revelation that Carver is finally coming back. And we're not thrilled to note that he will be coming back to a firehouse in the midst of one of its most chaotic scenarios. Carver, Jake Lockett, will be stepping into a nightmare in the April 16 episode, Post-Mortem. The firefighter will be on hand when a building collapses and traps a firefighter underneath. This is such a disaster that 51's former chief, Wallace Bowden Eamon Walker, will be called in to investigate. Last night was every firefighter's worst nightmare, Bowden says during the promo. We can only hope Carver is not the firefighter trapped beneath the rubble, but even if he's in the clear in terms of safety, the character's personal struggles may be amplified by this tense work setting. He has tried desperately to kick his drinking habit, and we know through various comments since he left that he attended a rehab facility. It may be a lot to throw at the firefighter out of the gate, especially when one considers that he has been absent for the entirety of the trauma that Chief Dom Pascal, Dermot Mulroney, has suffered. The current 51 boss lost his wife shortly after Carver went on leave, and his stability, as well as his competence on the job, has, unfortunately, suffered. Carver may be in a better place than Pascal at the moment, but that does not mean he's out of the woods yet. Chicago Fire showrunner Andrew Newman confirmed that the demons the character has battled during his time on the show remain, and will continue to test him moving forward. Even if he's made notable strides, Carver will be back from his stint at rehab very soon, Newman told Parade. We really wanted to do justice to the addiction journey and how nothing comes easy. So it's a bumpy road for him and for the people who love him most. It had been months since Sam Carver walked away from Firehouse 51. The pressure, the guilt, the near-death calls that came too close, too often, it had all finally boiled over. Chief Bowden had given him space. Even Stella had stopped calling, understanding that sometimes healing meant silence. But Chicago had a way of pulling its people back in, especially when things got ugly. The nightmare began with a 911 call no one ever wants to hear. Multiple explosions in a derelict factory on the south side, reports of workers trapped, hazardous chemicals, structural collapse, all in the same breath. The tones hit like thunder. Stella Kidd's boots hit the bay floor before the tones finished sounding. Gear up. Let's move. Her eyes were sharp, but there was something behind them, concern maybe. A whisper of dread. Truck 81 and Squad 3 tore through the streets like warhorses, sirens slicing the evening air. Smoke was already visible before they even hit the block, thick, black, roiling like something alive. As the team arrived, the sight that greeted them was pure chaos. Flames licked skyward from the upper floors of the factory. Fire had breached multiple levels, and somewhere inside, a dozen night shift workers were still unaccounted for. Crews jumped out, barking assignments. Severide's voice cut across the noise like a razor. Ladder to the 3rd floor. We go in from the south side. It's already starting to collapse. Brett and Violet set up triage on the sidewalk. A young woman staggered out, coughing blood, mumbling something about barrels and toxic fumes. That's when things escalated. A secondary explosion rocked the east wing, tossing debris like shrapnel. Back. Everyone back, Stella shouted, shielding her face. But Squad 3 was already inside. The nightmare wasn't just the fire, it was what was burning. A secret cache of unregulated chemicals, solvents, accelerants, even traced radiation. Something the firehouse hadn't been briefed on. The smoke was different, heavier, poisonous, and it was spreading fast. Inside, Severide and Joe Cruz crawled through debris, flashlights cutting through smoke like swords. they found 2 workers huddled beneath a collapsed staircase. "We've got you," Cruz said as a third explosion roared down the hallway. The floor gave out. Severide fell. A 6-foot drop into darkness. Radio silence. "Severide, respond." Stella's voice crackled over the comms. Nothing. Back at the staging area, Bowden's jaw tightened. "Call hazmat. Get every available unit down here. And get me Carver." "What?" Ritter blinked. "Carver's on leave." "Not anymore," Bowden growled. When Sam Carver arrived, the sky was bruised purple, smoke and ash churning into the clouds. He stepped out of a black SUV like a ghost from the past, his gear already half on. He didn't say a word, just looked at that factory, and pulled on his helmet. Stella froze. "Carver, don't worry, I'm back here for a reunion." He slung his axe over his shoulder. "I heard Severide's down. Let's go get him." Without waiting, Carver plunged toward the danger. Inside the building was a maze of fire and collapsed metal. Every breath burned. Carver moved like a man possessed, finding paths others couldn't. He knew this kind of chaos. He was this kind of chaos. He found Cruz helping a coughing, semi-conscious Severide toward the exit, flames chasing their heels. "Move," Carver barked, taking Severide's other side. Together they dragged him out, collapsing onto the sidewalk just as the structure groaned and buckled behind them. A section of the roof caved in, sending up a monstrous pillar of flame. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Stella dropped to her knees beside them, her face pale but relieved. "You're alive. You're okay." Carver handed her Severide's helmet. "All yours, Lieutenant." Later, back at the firehouse, the silence was heavy. No one wanted to speak first. Stella finally broke it. "You shouldn't have gone in. But thank you." Carver looked down at his hands. "Didn't do it for thanks. Did it because it needed doing." She nodded. "You still running?" Carver glanced at the photos on the wall. Old friends, old losses. Not anymore. Bowden entered then, slow and deliberate. "You disobeyed protocol. You weren't cleared, and you saved lives." He handed Carver a familiar badge. "If you want it, there's still a place for you here." Carver didn't take it immediately. He stared at it like it might bite him. Then finally, with a deep breath, he nodded. "All right then, let's go to work." But the nightmare wasn't over. A few days later, the hazmat team released their report. The fire had been no accident, arson. Deliberate. The chemicals weren't just illegally stored. They were planted. A message. To who, no one knew yet. A knock sounded at Bowden's office. Carver stepped in, holding a sealed envelope. "Found this under the 4th stairwell. Looked like it was meant for Squad 3. Bowden opened it. Inside was a photo of the team, all of them, taken from a distance, and scrawled across the bottom in thick red marker, "Next time I won't miss." The nightmare had only just begun. To be continued. Sam Carver's return wasn't just a rescue mission. It was the beginning of something bigger, something darker. Chicago fire had seen disasters. They'd seen loss. But now they had a target on their backs. And Carver, for all his demons, might just be the only one crazy enough to chase the nightmare down.